What's up, guys, and welcome to another episode of Inside the Ice with Tim from the Game Changer Sports Network. We are now in week 22 of the NHL regular season, and this week I'm going to be going over my weekly power rankings of my top 10 teams in the NHL, along with the 4 games that we got going on tonight in Wednesday Night Hockey. I'm just going to jump right into my top 10 teams, and I'm just going to list the top 10 teams, and then I'll go into a little bit deeper look into why I place the teams where I place them. Number 10, Vegas. Number 9, Carolina. Number 8, New York Islanders. Number 7, Washington Capitals. Number 6, Nashville. Number 5, San Jose. Number 4, Calgary. Number 3, Toronto. Number 2, Boston. Number 1, Tampa Bay Lightning. Vegas Golden Knights reappeared in the top 10 once again after acquiring Mark Stone and winning 4 games in a row. They are only 5-4-1 in the last 10. But I feel like that just speaks to the impact that Mark Stone has had on the Vegas Golden Knights, is that they've had an okay or a so-and-so last 10 games, and yet they've won 4 games in a row. Marc-Andre Fleury has a huge impact on why they've won 4 games in a row too. 2 of those games, back-to-back shutouts. He could make it 3 shutouts in a row tonight against the Calgary Flames at 10:30 at home. Mind you, at home, the Vegas Golden Knights are 20-10-4. Away, they're 16-16-1. That's going to pose a huge problem for the Vegas Golden Knights if they can't crawl out of the 3rd spot in the Pacific Division. Because if they can't get out of that, the only way they're going to have home ice advantage in the first 2 rounds is if the wild card spot in that Pacific Division beats the number 1 seed right now, which is the Calgary Flames. And then they beat the number 2 seed, which is San Jose. So not only will they have to go on the road and beat a number 2 team that's very well this year, and then go on the road again and beat the number 1 team, or the wild card team in that case, just to have a home ice series. There's 2 things that are going to improve the Vegas Golden Knights away record. It's if Mark Stone, if the 4-game winning streak is because of Mark Stone, then the away record has to improve, because that just means that they're going to win games. However, if it's not because of Mark Stone, then we're going to realize that if the away record doesn't improve. And the other thing is if Marc-Andre Fleury continues his strong suit and he's getting ready, I feel like he's getting warmed up right now. He's getting a few shutouts stacked up. Don't expect another few shutouts coming up in the next month. And then come playoff time, I feel Marc-Andre Fleury is going to have another really good playoff series. If he can continue to play well, Marc-Andre Fleury has the ability to put the Vegas Golden Knights on his back and carry them into, say, the 2nd seed, which could have a huge impact on how their first series goes, considering how well they play at home. Number 9, Carolina Hurricanes. They're 8-1-1 in their last 10 games, have moved into 3rd place in the Metro, are 18-10-4 at home, 18-13-3 away. And one of those 3 losses in overtimes or shootouts came last night against the Boston Bruins. So I don't think Carolina right now can be too upset about taking the Boston Bruins to overtime on the road. And mind you, the Carolina Hurricanes were down in the 3rd period, 3-2. They came back, tied the game, forced the Bruins to go to overtime and get that win. They still got 1 point out of the Boston Bruins. And although the Carolina Hurricanes fans could be a little salty this morning because they did have a 2-0 lead at one point in the game, however, they have to feel at least they're in a good spot. Like, you just took one of the top teams in the league. You went up 2-0. Yeah, you let them crawl back into the game, but you have to expect that in a top team. So then they crawl back into the game. They take the lead. But guess what? Your team comes back. Your team makes it 3-3 midway through the 3rd. Forces the overtime. Bruins came out with the W, but at least you got 1 point out of a hard-fought game. Number 8, the New York Islanders. Right now, they're tied with the Washington Capitals for first in the Metro Division. However, they lose the tiebreaker, and they are 38-21-7 overall. Them losing the tiebreaker, they can only blame one thing: their last 10 record. They've gone 5-4-1 after having a pretty not convincing lead over the Metro Division, but they at least had a 3 to 5 point lead over the second place team in the Metro Division, and now they've lost it. Now it's tied, and they lose that tiebreaker. However, there is one stat that the Islanders have that is crucial going into the playoffs, which is goals against. They have the least goals against in the NHL with 161. If that stays consistent going into the playoffs, then that means that they can hold a team like, say, Tampa Bay or Toronto, who has such an explosive offense that they can put you. Those two teams right there, they can end a game within the first 10 minutes just by going up 3 or 4 to nothing. Because if they go up 3 to 4 to nothing within the first 10 minutes, you as a team have to be sitting on the bench like, if they can do that in 10 minutes, even if we can come back, they've already proved that they can just do it again. If the Islanders can hold two teams like that to lower goals in games, they could find a way to sneak away with games, which could lead to sneaking away with series. However, they will need to prove that they can beat other contenders. Of the games that I've watched of the Islanders against the other top teams in the league, they haven't fared the greatest, but they have had a few games that they did show bursts of light. If the New York Islanders can keep it up, then I do expect them to make the playoffs. It's just there's a little question mark of how far they will go, because this is not only a young team, this team hasn't made the playoffs for the past few years. But head coached by Barry Trotz, they're a well-coached team. The New York Islanders, just by being a well-coached team, they've proved that they're a well-coached team by their goals against. And if they can carry that into the playoffs, you never know. Like, that's a team, you just don't know what's going to happen. And number 7, the Washington Capitals. Ovechkin is leading the league once again with 45 goals. Like I said, the Capitals take the tiebreaker over the New York Islanders with first in the Metro. They do have a home record of 19-9-5 and an away record of 19-12-2. That shows you that they can win not only at home, but on the road. And if they can win on the road, that's just a bonus. Because right now, they probably won't need to go on the road in the playoffs until the Eastern Conference Finals. And if the Capitals make the Eastern Conference Finals this year, those fans have to take it as a solid season. Not many teams who win the Stanley Cup make it deep into the playoffs the next season unless they're gearing up for another Stanley Cup win. And I have a feeling that Alexander Ovechkin wants to get another win, because anyone who watched the Washington Capitals celebrate that Stanley Cup victory last year saw how much joy, the Capitals were so good for so long and were not able to get it done, and now they got it done. And you could just see the relief, the joy on their faces. And I can only sit here and think, man, they want to go back and do it again this year. And realistically, in the Metro Division, it is a very tight and competitive division this year. However, with the Capitals roster remaining primarily the same this year, they do have the edge, in my opinion, with experience, chemistry, and home ice advantage. And then, heading into the 6th spot, we have the Nashville Predators in the Central Division. They have been, honestly, a little disappointment to me this year. And that could have been hugely because they were plagued with injuries earlier in the year. Rene, Arvidsson, Forsberg, Subban, all missed time with injuries. Those are all starting lineup guys. You can't expect much when a team like that is missing their starting lineups. However, before the trade deadline, they went out. They got Brian Boyle. They got Cody McLeod. They got Mikhail Granlund. And they got Wayne Simmons. Wayne Simmons has to improve this power play. If Wayne Simmons can improve this power play that only has a success rate of 13.8%, then the Nashville Predators will be a dangerous team. They are 6-4-0 in their last 10 games, and they've won 2 games in a row. Both of those games were against the Minnesota Wild, one at home, one away, and both of those games went to a shootout. And both of those games, like I said, the Predators were able to get a win. However, like I said, the Nashville Predators, their power play needs to improve. One of the reasons this Predators team was so dangerous the past few seasons was because of how skilled their power play was, how efficient it was, because you give those Predators 1 or 2 power plays a game last year, and they're pretty much scoring on all of those power plays. If they can improve that, and they can get a little hot streak going in the last month of the season, they could break away from the Jets, who appear to be going through a little bit of trouble right now. The Jets are 4-5-1 in their last 10 games and do remain in the second spot in the Central, but the St. Louis Blues are creeping up, and they're doing pretty well. But like I said, if the Nashville Predators can get their power play going, get a little hot streak going, they have to have one of the best top 4 defense corps in the league with Pecorine and net. They have the offensive capability of scoring goals. This team is built right now for a cup. And I just expect them to turn it up one more notch, crawl into the top 3 teams, and then come playoffs, turn up another notch. Because if they have the capacity to do that, like the Toronto Maple Leafs, like the Boston Bruins, like the Calgary Flames, they have the capacity to do that. I just have not seen it this year, and I'm waiting for it to happen. So now we're hitting the top 5 teams in the league. 5 is the San Jose Sharks. They are 6-3-1 in their last 10 games and have won, like the Nashville Predators, 2 games in a row. They are 21-5-5 at home, which is one of the strongest home records in the league. And like I stated, like with the Vegas Golden Knights, who also have a strong home record, if the San Jose Sharks remain ahead of the Vegas Golden Knights, that could be the deciding factor in that first series, is who has home ice between the San Jose Sharks and the Vegas Golden Knights. Who has home ice in the Pacific Division? That is a huge thing, because the San Jose Sharks aren't much farther ahead on the road than the Vegas Golden Knights are. The San Jose Sharks have a road record of 18-14-3. That's just above 500. So if the Vegas Golden Knights find a way with Mark Stone and Marc-Andre Fleury to crawl into that 2 seed, steal it from the San Jose Sharks, and force them into that 3 seed, that could be the deciding factor in what happens. However, the San Jose Sharks do have a stacked roster right now, and they are primed for a cup run. This year is weird. I've never seen a year where there's been so many teams that are primed for a cup run. Like, you have upwards of the top 5 to 6 teams in the league should win the Stanley Cup any other year. But they're not going to, because only one team can, obviously. The other interesting fact is that the San Jose Sharks are dominant over the Western Conference this year. They are 26-8-3 against the Western Conference opponents. So if they can clinch home ice, which they've proven had one of the most dominant teams at home ice, if they can get into that Western Conference, they can make a serious run towards the cup with this roster. They just have to be able to get that home ice, because to me right now, they are not as strong on the road as they are at home. Number 4, the Calgary Flames, with an overall record of 41-18-7. They are first in the Western Conference and are 7-2-1 in the last 10, despite losing 2 games in a row, the last being to Toronto, a home loss 6-2. That is not what the Calgary Flames need right now at this point in the season. They have a huge game tonight. If I'm a Flames fan, I am desperately wanting this Calgary Flames team to win tonight, because they are going against the Vegas Golden Knights, who have one of the better home records And the Vegas Golden Knights have also won 4 games in a row. The Vegas Golden Knights also want to take as many points from the Calgary Flames as they can. So if the Calgary Flames can go into the Vegas Golden Knights barn and steal those 2 points, that will be a huge, huge victory for the Calgary Flames, especially coming off of 2 losses in a row. Number 3, the Toronto Maple Leafs. They are 41-21-4. They have the second best goal differential in the league of plus 51, and they are 6-3-1 in their last 10. The reason I have them at 3 and Calgary at 4 is because of that last game, like I said. Toronto went into Calgary. Calgary I didn't see anything from Calgary that night. That very well could have just been an off night. The NHL regular season is 82 games. That is 1 game. Don't think that I'm saying, oh, Toronto won that 1 game in Calgary. That means that Toronto's the better team from now until the Stanley Cup Finals. No. That just means that right now, that's a huge win for the Toronto Maple Leafs to go into Calgary, who does have a solid home record, steal a win. Not only a win, a solid 4-goal win, 6-2 win. The Toronto Maple Leafs are taking on the Vancouver Canucks in Vancouver tonight at 9, and Toronto could make it 3 wins in a row. However, I do expect, like I said, they're playing Vancouver tonight. I do expect them to beat Vancouver. I really do. I think Toronto right now is maybe hitting a little bit of a hot streak. And we've seen teams this year go on the road, and once they win a few games on the road, they're just like, oh, it's another game. It's on the road, but it's another game, so we're going to win. We're going to win. We're going to win. Toronto has the offensive power to just be like, yeah, we're going to put 3 or 4 goals on you, and you're going to be done for the rest of the game. And then in the third period, we'll stick another few goals on you just to make sure that you just pull out the white flag and surrender. However, there's one team right now in the NHL that I think is the hottest, and that is the Boston Bruins, and they are number 2 on my power rankings with an overall record of 40-17-9. They are 9-0-1 in their last 10 games, have won 4 games in a row, and have the league's second best power play of 26.7% success rate. They are 8-7-2 versus the Metro, which poses as their hardest task in winning, which is interesting to me, considering the fact that they aren't going to be playing a Metro team until the Eastern Conference, most likely, because I do not expect any team, whether it be Boston or Toronto, to take the Atlantic Division from Tampa Bay. They are 25-7-3 at home. Like I said, the Carolina game, when they lost last night in Boston, that is a solid loss. You just have to take that loss with a grain of salt. We went in against a team that's 25-7-3 at home and came out with a point. You have to take that if you're a Carolina Hurricanes fan. On the road, the Bruins are 15-10-6. I would, as a person who's from the Boston area, I would like to see the Bruins take that away record and pick it up a little bit, but currently they are second in the Atlantic Division, so they do hold the home ice over Toronto, which I think is a deciding factor. If these two teams do meet in the playoffs, is who has home ice between the Boston Bruins and the Toronto Maple Leafs. Number 1, for another week in a row, the Tampa Bay Lightning. They are 51-12-4, 9-1-0 in their last 10 games, have a plus 87 goal differential, which is by 36 goals the best in the league. They are first on the power play of 29.3% success rate. They have a kill rate on the penalty kill of 85.3%. They are 16-4 against division opponents and are 18-2 against Metro opponents. So pretty much they can beat any Eastern Conference opponent right now. Vasilevsky just won his 10th straight game in a row. Kucherov is leading the league in points. The Tampa Bay Lightning, just when they hit 50 wins, they tied the 1995 and 1996 New Jersey Devils for fastest team to hit 50 wins in 66 games. If the Tampa Bay Lightning do not slow down, if they do not hit a wall, I don't see a team being able to stop the Tampa Bay Lightning in a 7-game series where they have 4 games in Tampa Bay. I just don't. I'm sorry. If the Tampa Bay Lightning do, however, within the next few weeks to the end of the season appear to slow down, that could make me a little bit skeptical against certain opponents. The Tampa Bay Lightning, however, I am by no means saying they're going to slow down. I'm just saying many times there has been a team on fire all year long, and then the last 2 weeks of the season, they're just done. And then they make it the first round in 6 or 7 games, and then they get bounced in the second round. Maybe they make it through the second round and they get bounced in the Eastern Conference Finals, but you were expecting that team by far all year to win that Stanley Cup. That has happened in the past. That's not what I'm saying is going to happen, but that's an option. The Tampa Bay Lightning could very well just roll right through this playoffs and steal the Stanley Cup this year without anybody even being in contention. So that's my power rankings for the week 22 of the NHL. Check out my article. I do a weekly power rankings every Wednesday or Thursday, like I'm going to be doing a show every Wednesday and Thursday from now on of my power rankings and the latest news on the NHL. Now I'm going to talk a little bit about the 4 games going on tonight. You have the Capitals versus the Flyers. The Flyers are trying to crawl their way into contention of the Metro Division and maybe even steal a wild card spot. Montreal is going to have one of those wild card spots. So now it's up to the Metro Division to take and fight over that last wild card spot. The Flyers, Penguins, Blue Jackets, Carolina Hurricanes, Islanders, all 4 of those teams, even the Capitals. That Metro Division is tight. That Metro Division is one of the most, they are so tightly contested divisions in a while. Then at 9 o'clock, Maple Leafs at Canucks. The Toronto Maple Leafs, like I said, have won 2 games in a row. They're looking to make it 3 games in a row. And they are on the road once again, going from Calgary. They have to be riding high off of that 6-2 away win over Calgary. They can't let it get to their head, but they need to use it as momentum because that Toronto team has to be in desperate desire to want to take that second seed from the Boston Bruins. Then at 10 o'clock, the Blues and the Ducks. The Blues are one of the hottest teams in the league right now. The Ducks have been cold for a while. The Ducks have been cold pretty much all year. They're not going to be a playoff team this year, which is strange to say compared to the last few seasons. The Blues, however, have crawled from the back end of the standings into 3rd place in the Central Division. I expect the Blues to take away this game because the Blues right now are looking for every point to even get a notch above Winnipeg or Nashville, who haven't been playing at the top level right now. And then at 10:30, the game of the night by far, Calgary Flames at Vegas Golden Knights, 10:30. Like I said, the Vegas Golden Knights are 20-10-4 at home. Calgary, they've lost 2 games in a row. They're trying to maintain that first seed in the Pacific Division over San Jose and Vegas. Vegas, mind you, is trying to crawl into that second seed over San Jose. I don't know if Vegas really, as a Vegas player, you have to be saying, we want that first seed, we want that first seed as Pacific. But as a guy looking at the standings right now, I'm just saying for Vegas, if they can steal that second seed from San Jose, that's a huge victory for Vegas heading into the playoffs. So check out those games tonight. Heading into this weekend, I'm going to be doing another video Saturday or Sunday on the latest news in the NHL. It'll be the newest episode of Inside the Ice. Moving forward, I'm going to be doing an episode every weekend Every other weekend, most likely, I'll be joined by my friend Kevin as we discuss the winners and losers of the trade deadline this past weekend. And then every Wednesday or Thursday, as I said, I release the power rankings on the website. Check it out. Moving forward, every Wednesday or Thursday, I will be discussing my power rankings on an episode and discussing the latest news in the NHL. Check out Game Changer Sports Network. We're on Facebook, we're on Twitter, we're on Instagram. Share us, tell us you hate us, tell us you love us. Have a great day, guys.